thought
Your life.
you gave and how hard you begged. They made you think love had
Aspetto
to
il
hurt,
ritorno,
like loyalty
questo
had to
vuoto di
bleed,
liquidità,
and
qui a qui,
you swallowed
per
every bit
acquistare
of it.
altri 2 contratti
You let them stretch your
e
heart until
vendere
it
i primi 2
cracked, just for a drop of attention,
a questo punto
just for a
qui,
sliver of the warmth you gave
e
them
uno
daily
qui,
without
e
hesitation.
i restanti 3
That wasn't love.
qua sopra qui, dove
That
c'è
was a leash. And they held it tight every time you tried to breathe.
la candela di basso.
You think silence is
E faccio
hard?
un ordine qua.
No. What's hard is realizing you were a slave to their validation.
Dammelo,
That you danced for a little bit of approval,
forza,
like a
un
fool
pochino,
begging for
un
scraps.
pochino.
But
Eccoci
when you
qua,
shut your
grazie
mouth,
mille.
when you stop explaining, stop proving, stop defending, that's when you take your power
Siamo
back.
quasi.
Silence ain't weakness. It's a reset. It's the death of the old you, the one who tolerated too much, cared too fast, loved too deeply.
Andiamo all'energia.
It's the rebirth of the version of you who watches, calculates, and walks away without turning back. That version is dangerous. They wanted you to snap. They needed you to. Because if you did, they could point and say, see, that's why I left. But when you don't, when you go calm, it drives them insane. They expected rage. They got silence. They expected fireworks. You gave them a blackout. Now they're sitting in the dark, alone with their guilt, and it's clawing at their soul. And don't think they moved on. Oh no, they're just pretending. Every smile they post is a cry for attention. Every I'm doing great is a cover for the void they're drowning in. Because real peace doesn't look loud. It doesn't need an audience. You never see a lion explain why it stopped roaring. It just walks silently. And the whole jungle feels it. That's what your silence becomes. A roar no one hears.
Adesso devi rompere con
But
forza,
everyone
Regina,
feels.
grazie.
And let me tell
Per
you
forza,
something.
coffee in bar, coffee in bar.
People don't
Più
break
forte.
what's weak. They break what's strong and giving.
Serve forza,
They
Regina.
test you. Not because you're easy to destroy, but because they want to see how much damage they can do before you finally say enough. And when you finally do, it shakes them. Because your silence is not empty. It's loaded. It's got every truth you never said.
Blocco acquisti
Every tear you wiped
confermato.
alone. Every night you bled for someone who
Siamo
couldn't
fuori
even
dal
spell
macro.
loyalty. And that
Questo qua era perfetto.
silence, it'll follow them. It'll whisper in their ear when they're lying next to someone new,
13:50,
pretending
14:10.
they're happy. It'll echo
Adesso abbiamo l'ultimo
thoughts
pericolo,
when
come vi dicevo,
they
è
compare
questo
every
qua.
smile,
Potrebbe
every
essere un
conversation, every feeling to the way it
livello di
was,
impressione e lo deve rompere adesso con forza.
and nothing
Forza,
will compare.
forza, mi serve.
Because you weren't a phase.
Mi
You were
serve
the
forza.
best they never understood.
Allora abbiamo
The
appena
kind of
toccato
soul
la soglia del
people spend
50%
lifetimes trying to find again.
e
So
questa
you stay
lezione non mi
calm,
piace.
not because you don't care,
Quindi
but because you've realized
credo che ne
that your
usciremo
energy is a currency,
giusto coprendo i
and you
costi
wasted enough of it
e poi per
on
riprendere
people
magari
who
un
didn't
rientro
even
più
deserve
basso.
eye contact. Now you keep it close.
Oppure
You
se ne va
invested
senza di
in
noi
silence,
al ribasso e non ci
in
interessa
growth,
l'energia.
in making the version of yourself that no one can touch.
Non puoi avere sempre
Not
tutto.
out of revenge, but out of evolution.
Adesso io il
You don't
tempo
become
3
cold.
minuti per uscire da
You
questo
become
accumulo.
selective. You don't shut
Devi
down.
rompere entro 3 minuti,
You just
altrimenti
stop letting clowns
I'm
rent
out.
space in your
E mi
palace.
metto.
Because that's what they were.
Ok,
Noise in a life that
l'ordine è
needed
confermato.
peace. And now that
Quindi
you found it, you protect it like gold.
io
No arguments,
qui-
no explanations,
i costi abbiamo coperti,
just
ragazzi.
silence. The
La
kind that
coffee
kills
bar sta
egos,
formando, adesso deve fare
the kind that
l'FVG
turns
grande,
tables,
perché
the
questo
kind that
qua
makes
non
them
basta,
regret ever thinking you were
potrebbe
disposable.
ancora tornare subito
You hear
indietro e
me?
ringraziare.
You don't shout, you build.
Struttura troppo
You don't
pulita,
chase, you
aspettavo un
focus.
ritorno,
You don't try to prove your worth.
qui
You
il
become it.
50%
And when
di
they
questa
finally see you again,
tail,
richer,
questa coda,
stronger,
e
colder,
poi la partenza.
calmer, they won't say a
Però-
word. They'll just choke on
Mamma.
everything they never said. That's the beauty of silence.
Qui non siamo,
It needs no announcement. It needs no apology. It's the final message,
non siamo
delivered
replay,
without a
market
single
open.
sound.
Tutto live, non abbiamo nessun tipo di replay, il replay è qui da attivare e noi non l'abbiamo attivato, quindi vi confermo che sono in live di nuovo. Sono attualmente le 20:17 in
You want to know
Svizzera,
why silence hurts more than anger?
quindi
Because anger is temporary. It's loud,
alle
it's messy, but
12:17
it burns out.
attualmente.
People get used to it.
New York.
They expect it from
Struttura
someone who's
bellissima,
disrespectful.
almeno per prendere
It
la
gives
prima
them a
linea qua
script to
sopra
follow. Calm
e poi
down.
non ci interessa più di
You're
tanto.
overreacting, and
Oddio, quanto devo
I
portare
didn't mean
profitti a
it like
casa?
that. They turn your pain into a punchline and your reaction into ammunition. But silence?
Il
Silence
tracciamento
leaves them with no
aggressivo
script,
adesso,
no role to play. It removes
forse
the
ci mette
stage.
fuori con questo
Now they're
ritracciamento.
alone with nothing but echoes.
Io
Haunted
rispetto
by
il mio
every
piano.
word they thought you'd say, but never will. They try to
Per me
reverse
questo è
the
un
blight,
piccolo accumulo
twist
che si può muovere il
truth.
minimo
but your
fino alla
silence
struttura.
offers no resistance.
E come
And
si
that's what
rompe
traps
lui.
them.
Ma
You're
con
not
questo
giving them a fight.
doppio,
You're giving them a
blocco
mirror,
di reazione,
a
adesso aspetto
damn
una spike
clear
violentissima e
one.
poi magari un ritracciamento
And
profondo.
the reflection is brutal. It's raw.
Siamo
It
ancora
shows
magari
them who
dall'interno di
they
questo
really are, without the comfort of your forgiveness to hide behind. They say
video
time heals,
che non
right,
è poi
Lieutenant?
molto
Time
rassicurante.
exposes. Time peels the paint off fake
E credo
intention.
proprio che si conferma il
And the
bassista.
silence you keep, it becomes a
Siamo
weapon
invece sul
time sharpens. Every day they don't
IS
hear
non
from you.
rappresenta,
Every moment they realize
IS
you're
non
not watching
rappresenta.
anymore. It eats at them.
Scusate ragazzi.
At first they pretend they don't care. They convince themselves they moved on, that you were never that deep. But silence is a
Quindi
seed.
vi confermo la non presenza dell'FVG su IS,
Over time, it grows roots.
ma mi
when it
aspetto
blooms,
comunque un ritracciamento per come si sta
Regret
muovendo,
becomes a forest.
che forse ci
And by
mette fuori
then,
qua, però comunque
You're
in
already
profitto.
miles away. Different city, different mind,
Ecco, qua sta
different
caricando.
soul. The you they broke is gone. The new you doesn't even flinch at their name. That's not just revenge. That's evolution. And they'll never catch up. You're not here to fix people anymore. You're not here to make them see your value. If they didn't get it when you were giving them your soul, they sure as hell don't deserve it now. That version of you who explained everything, who tried to make them feel safe while you were dying inside, that version is retired. The new you understands that
Dai,
peace
Virginia.
is earned, not given. And if someone costs you that peace, they cost too damn much. Let them call you cold. Let them say
Devo
you switched
raggiungere i
up.
30 punti
Let them
esattamente
lie
adesso.
to everyone about what happened.
Ecco qua, 30
You stay
punti.
quiet. You stay still. Because people who scream the loudest are usually covering the
Vabbè,
biggest
per
mess.
profit il primo
But
parziale
the
è
ones
40
who
punti.
stay calm, they already cleaned
Ce lo dà?
house.
Se lo
You cleaned
consente
yours.
adesso rispetto al tracciamento.
Now you keep the door locked.
Così che vi
You were the
può
lesson
mostrare
they
il
didn't want to
classico
learn. You were the blessing they weren't
doppio
ready to
massimo,
handle.
ritraccia
So they
in
mishandled.
luce
Broke you
acquisti,
in
però se
places that
ritraccia ci
still
butto fuori.
ache when you're alone.
Allora scusatemi un attimo,
And
prendo
yet,
due perché non mi
sometimes
sento
that silence isn't
sicuro.
power.
Oggi abbiamo
It's
messo
pain. The
qualcosa
kind
da parte.
that gnaws at your ribs when no one's looking. But you sit with it. You own it. Because
Mi
if you
stai
can
dando
survive
la
that
candela che
kind of
volevo.
silence,
Adesso puoi ritracciare.
yours and theirs, you can
Sai
survive
cosa ti
anything.
dico? Ti lascio
You don't
ritracciare
run from the
bene bene,
emptiness.
come so io.
You let it shape
A
you.
volte bisogna rinunciare a
You
qualcosa.
let it build a new foundation where no one can walk in and tear it all down again. Your silence isn't a prison. It's a rebirth. A transition from being someone's option to being your own priority. So don't send that message.
1, 2, 3, go!
Don't post that quote
Ritorna.
hoping they'll notice.
E noi ci
Don't
mettiamo
replay the memories
candela pesante,
like a broken
spike,
record. Let them wonder. Let them choke on the
Spike
silence
qua
you've
sotto.
mastered.
Allora,
And when they finally
una
reach
collina
out,
qua sotto in aspetto,
when they
un
finally
fino a prendere
realize what they lost,
questo minimo qui, magari al
you won't even be
50%
the
questo
same
intero.
person they left.
E magari riacquistare
You'll
due
be
contratti che ho
colder,
appena tolto.
stronger,
Ragazzi,
cleaner,
vedete?
and silent.
Adesso
Still.
abbiamo questo
Because by
piccolo
then,
imbalance
your
qui.
silence won't just hurt.
Vedo proprio di liquidità.
Here's the part no one tells you. Silence isn't easy. It's war. It's waking up with your chest heavy and your mouth shut.
Esattamente il 50%.
It's fighting back the urge to
ragazzi.
explain yourself to people who were never listening in the first
Continuare a
place.
dire, dai.
It's watching them live their
50%,
lives
100%.
like nothing happened.
Ora qua vedete come si muove.
Like they didn't dismantle your
Nervoso.
trust piece
Boom.
by piece
Eccoti qua.
and walk away like they
Stavo
never
aspettando.
touched it. It's screaming inside while you wear a straight face, nodding, smiling, pretending like the storm inside you isn't loud enough to break glass. But here's the power buried in all
Ed
that
ecco qui che ci
pain.
viene questi soldini
The
dietro,
longer you
Virginia.
stay silent, the louder your absence gets. They start to feel it. They notice you're quiet the same way someone notices air getting thinner.
Vieni, bam!
And suddenly, it's not
Grazie,
you
Virginia.
begging for answers. It's them drowning in questions.
E come per magia.
Why did he stop talking? Why doesn't he care anymore? Why does it feel like he's not even angry, just gone? That's when they start to spiral. Not because
doppio
of what
massimo.
you said, but because of what you didn't.
Retail,
And that's the cruelest irony. Your
induzione,
silence does what your
short,
words never could.
presa di
It
liquidità.
exposes them. See, you gave them a
E
version
adesso
of yourself that
prendiamo la
most
liquidità qua
people
sopra.
don't
Questa
get.
volta ci deve.
Real, raw, present. You showed up when it was inconvenient. You stayed when you were tired. You forgave what broke you. You gave them access to your soul. And they treated it like a free trial. And now,
Adesso qua si
they're
vede tutta la
looking for
partita,
you
quindi
in every
automaticamente.
new person, hoping to find a fraction of the peace they felt in your presence. But here's the truth, they won't. Because you don't come in copies, You don't
Quindi
come in
adesso o ci
replacement.
parte come
You
sta
were one of
facendo
one,
adesso,
and they
e
knew it.
adesso deve
But comfort
distruggere
makes
proprio
people
tutto,
stupid.
perché
They think they'll
qui ci può
always
tornare
have time
indietro
to
e
fix it.
riconfermare questo.
They think you'll
Ecco,
always
negativo
be
adesso
there, waiting,
risale,
loyal, silent,
questo qua si
but
trasforma
still reachable.
in un blocco di
And then
immersione,
you go quiet,
quindi arancione,
not for a
no,
reaction,
giallo, arancione.
not for attention, but because you're done. Because you
E
finally
poi da qui
accepted
si
that your
spara la prima
value isn't
qualità e
up
sale
for
su
debate anymore.
fino
That's when the game
all'aspetto.
changes. That's when they lose. Not when you screamed, not
Meno
when
10,
you
3 meno
cried,
10.
but when you stopped. You don't need closure from someone who slammed the door in your face. You don't need apologies from people who sleep peacefully while you stay up thinking. You don't need explanations from cowards who couldn't even look you in the eye when they left.
Se ci conferma che Gesù all'interno siamo
Is
tranquilli, se no
silence. For them,
abbiamo preso un
it's
pochino
a
di
punishment.
profitti
For you,
e può continuare a
it's a
scendere, ma io non la
detox.
seguo.
Because talking to the wrong people too long poisons the soul.
A quanto
It
pare ha intenzione di
dilutes your
scendere.
purpose. It keeps you small. And you weren't made to be small. You were made to shatter ceilings,
Ora
to
scende,
outgrow
la via è chiusa.
environments, to silence rooms just by walking in. But that version of you only exists when you kill the noise. So you do it
Ma dite perché?
slowly, brutally.
Ma ci profitta sul tavolo se sa che scende.
You stop explaining your worth.
Perché si vuole una
You stop
volta
apologizing for being deep in a shallow world. You stop giving
adesso se mi
CPR
supera
to
questo,
connections that were
questa
dead
apertura qua,
long before
se
you
la
admitted
supera,
it.
anche se non
That's
ci
not
chiude,
weakness.
io sto tranquillo,
That's
esposto alla
self-respect.
seconda candela,
And it's about time you started
quindi
wearing that
diciamo
like
stop
armor.
loss con profitto
Let them
parziale
wonder
sotto il
what
50% per questa candela
Let
di
them talk
bassista,
behind your
che
back.
per me si trasforma
Try
in
to
un
fill
blocco di
in the
acquisti,
blanks with their own twisted versions
un
of the
blocco di
story.
acquisti
Don't correct them. Don't
bullish.
clarify. Don't break the silence.
Apertura.
That silence, that's
Abbiamo
your
l'apertura
power now.
22.278,
That's your empire
il
being built
massimo,
brick by
massimo
brick in the
e
quiet.
stesso, esattamente
That's your
stesso prezzo,
mind
quindi
healing,
non è andato un
your
tick
heart
sopra.
hardening,
Aspettiamo
your
se ci va
spirit
ora.
sharpening. And when the time comes, when you step out of the
Aspettiamo
shadows
adesso.
and show the world what silence built,
Vi ripeto, mi serve un
They
prezzo più
won't
alto di
recognize.
20.278.
and they'll pretend they don't remember what they did. But you will, and you'll walk past them without a word. Because some people don't deserve a second glance, let alone a second chance. There was fine. Silence was your weakness. They thought not responding meant you were broken, that your silence was surrender. But what they never realized is that silence is strategy. It's the art of stepping back while they dig their own grave. See, people who live for attention can't handle being ignored. You deny them the drama, deny them the feedback, deny them the spotlight, and you strip them bare.
Quindi adesso
You strip them of the illusion that they were in control, that they mattered enough to affect you. And when they don't get a reaction, they panic. They'll try everything to poke the fire, throw dirt on your name, bait you into snapping, because they need to know
Allora
they still matter.
che ci vedrà
And when they don't,
quindi mi sa
when you stay calm, when you don't even flinch, that
allora
silence
adesso appena
becomes
fatto
a
nuova candela
mirror
da 15
they
minuti,
can't escape.
bam,
Suddenly they're not just dealing with losing you.
T178,
They're dealing
278
with
ancora
the
ce
fact
l'abbiamo,
that you're no longer giving them the one thing
per
they crave
un tic, non è uscito, eccolo qua, quindi adesso
significance. You've erased
una
them
volta
without lifting a
confermato
finger.
possiamo metterci
And that right there
sotto
is power.
all'ultimo order block.
You want real strength. It's not lifting weights or flexing muscles. It's not shouting louder or fighting harder. Real strength is sitting in your own pain and not letting it turn you bitter. It's carrying betrayal on your shoulders and still choosing not to become like them. It's watching people who hurt you smile like nothing happened and refusing to let their fake peace interrupt your real growth. It's being silent, not because you're scared to speak, but because you choose not to. Because the cost of engaging with them again is too high. They've already robbed you of peace once. You won't let them rent space in your mind for free again. So you go silent, not out of fear, not out of pain, but out of calculation. Because you finally realize that some wars are won not by drawing swords, but by never showing up to the
il prezzo ci
battlefield.
salga appena. Mi serve una chiusura, quindi 6 secondi e mi confermo la struttura 2, 1, eccola qua, grazie. Dopodiché posso passare al 50% questo, anzi adesso ci teniamo sotto al 50% questo FVG, gli diamo un po' di spazio perché vedo che c'è un po' di volatilità. Mi tengo sotto questa spike, appena sotto il 50% di questa spike qua, e se mi misuro questi due insieme con un unico order block sono sopra al 50% e voglio essere sicuro. I migliori order block non verranno rilasciati al 50%. Allora, ecco a voi il vostro doppio massimo distrutto. Questo è quello che imparate nei libri 1 e 2, perfetto doppio massimo da manuale, in cui il massimo di destra non supera, grazie Virginia, il massimo di sinistra viene purgato. Adesso io mi aspetto un ritracciamento, ti dico che me ne può fregare di meno. Mi tengo sotto a questo imbalance e ragazzi, chi si è visto i profitti sono a casa, la struttura è bellissima, gli acquisti vedete 1, 2, 3, 4 acquisti dopo aver preso un profitto, quindi questo è un profitto strategico, ritracciamento premeditato di 10 punti, 20 punti. Adesso io ti aspetto esattamente qui con un mini contratto intero. Sì, perché almeno su 15 minuti, scusate il discorso, quindi 2 e modifichiamo tac.
And staying that way no matter what storms rage around you. Because you've learned something priceless. Your peace is worth more than their presence. And you'll never sacrifice it again for someone who didn't even know what to do with your love.
Am 21. Mai
ist Schweizer Vorlesetag.
Quindi abbiamo un 5 qua.
Be next chapter the B.
E ci vendo un altro qua, dopo vi faccio vedere perché...
It's Pong Time! Pombeer Grizzlies. Knusprig dünne Chips in Beerenform. Schon probiert?
They'll talk. Oh, believe me, they'll talk. Whisper your name in rooms you're no longer in. Try to make sense of your silence, like it's some kind of disease. He just stopped talking. He changed. He thinks he's better now. No, you didn't change. You returned to yourself. You didn't think you were better. You became better. You didn't stop talking because you had nothing to say. You stopped because they were never really
2:35,
listening.
14:35, New
And that's
York.
the part that burns them most. Not your absence, not your glow up, not your silence, but the fact
Io
that
registro fino al
now
prossimo
they're locked
progetto,
out of your world.
poi vi
And you're
lascio
not even looking
perché ho delle
back.
cose da finire. Ragazzi, vi
walked away
aspetto sul
without a
canale alla
goodbye.
prossima.
And that quiet exit will haunt them more than 1,000 screamed farewells ever could. They'll replay it in their heads,
Breakaway.
looking for signs,
Bene,
clues,
quindi non fidatevi.
some hint of when you gave up. But you didn't give up. You grew up. You realized
Questo
some
qua,
battles aren't worth
anzi
fighting.
questo, si è portato fuori
people
dal
aren't worth
presunto
convincing.
doppio massimo.
Some doors need to stay shut.
Quindi non troverete
Not because they're
chiave fin
locked,
qui. Se ci
but because what's
rifaccio,
behind them
vuol dire che
no longer has
userete la
power
sua
over
forza
you.
in questo piccolo
And while
cubo a
they're busy
sinistra.
talking,
E la
you're
struttura comunque su
building
15 minuti un
in
pochino
the
di più.
shadows, in silence, in
Diciamo.
places they'll never see. That's the beautiful thing about quiet growth. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't post updates. It doesn't need claps or cheers. It just happens, slowly, relentlessly. While the world thinks you've disappeared, you're sharpening, healing, elevating. And one day, they'll look up and realize you're 10 levels above the version of you they tried to destroy. Not because you fought to prove them wrong, but because you stopped fighting.
7 minuti alla chiusura della
You learned the
15
most
minuti.
brutal truth of all. Your best revenge isn't destruction. It's distance. Not making them pay, but making them irrelevant. You don't burn bridges anymore. You let time do it for you. Quietly, thoroughly, without ever needing to look back at the smoke. You don't owe them understanding. You don't owe them softness. You don't owe them one more moment of your energy. That was the old you,
Succede.
the one who bent, broke,
Grazie Virginia, ragazzi.
just to keep
Prossimo
dead
profitto
things
preso,
free.
io mi metto
But the new
al sicuro
you,
sotto
the
questo
silent you,
breakaway.
he doesn't negotiate.
Se ci ferma abbiamo già
He
portato a casa
doesn't
i
hand out
profitti.
explanations like candy. He
Se
doesn't
va
plead
tutto
for
bene,
clarity in a world that
più
feeds
di
off
$1.000 di
confusion.
profitto oggi
He
e
just
vi ringrazio.
walks, focused,
Ciao ragazzi.
disciplined,